My name is Samir, and today I want to share my story about how I learned English. Now, I wasn't always someone who spoke English confidently. In fact, a few years ago, I couldn't speak a word of it. I would look down whenever someone spoke English to me. I felt small, like I didn't belong, but that was before I realized something important. Learning English could change my life. I'll never forget the day it all started. I was watching a movie, and there was this scene where the main character spoke English so easily, so fluently. He seemed confident and powerful. At that moment, I knew I wanted to feel that way. I wanted to learn English not just for a job or to impress others, but because I wanted to feel confident. The very next day, I decided to begin. Now, at first, I had no idea where to start. All I knew was that I had to practice, even if it felt strange or even silly. So I started with a simple step. I talked to myself. It might sound funny, but speaking out loud to yourself is a great way to get comfortable with words. I'd say things like, "Hello, my name is Samir," or "How are you today?" I did this every day, sometimes in front of the mirror, even though it was just me alone in my room. I pretended I was speaking to someone else. Then I discovered something amazing: music. I began listening to English songs, ones with slow and clear words. When I'd hear a new word, I'd repeat it out loud. At first, I didn't understand much, but I didn't let that stop me. I just listened to the music, enjoying it, and slowly I started catching words here and there. There was one song that kept repeating, "Believe in yourself." I thought if I keep trying, maybe I can learn this language. Every day I tried to speak a little more and it got easier. I remember telling myself, "Samir, it's okay if you make mistakes. Just keep going." And that's something everyone needs to remember. Mistakes are part of learning. When I realized this, I didn't feel afraid to speak anymore. I told myself, "Samir, don't worry about being perfect. Just speak." Then came the day I tried to speak to someone else in English. I went to a small shop, and the shopkeeper looked at me as I tried to say something simple like, "How much is this?" At first, I stumbled over my words. I felt my face get hot, but I didn't give up. I took a deep breath, smiled, and tried again. The shopkeeper nodded and smiled back. In that small moment, I felt a spark of confidence. From then on, I made it a habit to speak whenever I could. I would ask simple questions to strangers just to get practice. Each time it felt a little easier, a little more natural. I noticed that when I started speaking English, people around me listened more. It felt as if the language gave me a new way to connect with others. The more I practiced, the more I discovered that English wasn't as difficult as I once thought. It was just a matter of practice. I began to read small storybooks in English. I'd go slowly, line by line, looking up words I didn't know, and over time, those words stuck with me. I realized that reading in English helped my mind remember words better. But let me tell you, this journey isn't always easy. There were days when I felt frustrated, when I felt like I'd never get it right. On those days, I'd tell myself, "You can do this. Just take it one step at a time." I made it a habit to motivate myself, and I can say that motivation is something you need every single day. Just keep reminding yourself why you started, and imagine how great it will feel once you're fluent. One day, a friend told me, "Samir, your English is getting better." I was so happy, but I didn't stop there. I kept pushing myself. I knew there was more to learn, more to practice. I'd watch English movies with subtitles and repeat the lines to myself, trying to sound like the actors. It was fun and helped me get comfortable with new words and phrases. And here's what I learned that I want everyone to remember. If you believe in yourself, you can learn anything. English isn't hard. It's just a language. With a little practice every day, you can start speaking it too. As I kept practicing, I noticed that speaking English was becoming easier. But, you know, learning a language isn't only about talking. It's about feeling the words. I started thinking, what if I really connect with each word I say? What if I make each sentence feel real to me? That small change made a big difference. I decided to take things up a level. I'd walk around my neighborhood and describe what I saw in English. I'd say, "The sky is blue. The flowers are beautiful. The road is quiet." These were simple sentences, but saying them out loud made me feel more comfortable with the language. It was like English was becoming part of me. One day I met an old friend who hadn't seen me in years. He was surprised when he heard me speak in English. He said, "Wow, Samir, you've changed. You sound so confident." That made me feel amazing, but I wasn't done yet. I still wanted to improve. I wanted to speak fluently, naturally, without thinking too hard. So, I found a new trick. I started thinking in English. Whenever a thought came into my mind, I try to say it in English instead of my native language. At first it felt strange. My mind would stop trying to find the right word. But little by little it got easier. Soon, I realized I didn't need to translate every word in my head. English was slowly becoming my own. Then came the best part. I discovered that I could talk to people from all around the world in English. I joined online groups and spoke with people who, like me, were learning English. We all made mistakes, but we learned together. We'd laugh at our small errors and help each other improve. It felt like I was a part of a global family, all connected by this one language. It was powerful. Now I want to share something very important. Believe in yourself. People may tell you that learning English is hard, that it takes too long, but remember, all big things start small. Just take one step at a time. I didn't become fluent in one day. It took months of small steps, talking to myself, listening to songs, watching movies, and practicing with others. One thing that kept me going was setting small goals. Every week, I'd choose one new word and try to use it in my sentences. For example, I learned the word amazing. I loved that word because it made me feel happy. So I'd say things like, "The sky looks amazing," or "This food is amazing." Every time I used that word, I felt like I was getting closer to my goal of fluency. It was a small goal, but it felt big to me. There were also times when I felt lazy. I'd think, maybe I can skip practice today. But then I'd remember why I started. I wanted to change my life. English was opening doors for me. New friendships, new ideas, and new confidence. So, I'd get up, speak to myself, and keep going. I reminded myself that every practice session, even if it was just 5 minutes, was bringing me closer to my dream. One night, I had a thought that changed everything. I realized that English was like music. When we listen to a song, we don't always understand every word but we feel the music. We enjoy it. I thought, what if I just enjoy English like I enjoy music? And that's what I did. I started speaking with joy without worrying if every word was perfect. I'd laugh at my mistakes and keep trying. And you know what? That's the secret. Don't worry about being perfect. Just enjoy the process. Enjoy the sounds of the words, the flow of the sentences. Think of English as a friend, not something you have to study or pass. When you speak English, let it be something fun, something you look forward to. The day I truly realized my progress was during a job interview. I walked in feeling nervous, but I reminded myself of all the work I'd put in. I told myself, Samir, you've practiced for this. Just speak with confidence. And I did. I answered the questions, not perfectly, but with my heart. I smiled, used the words I'd practiced, and just let the words flow. Afterward, I felt proud. Even if I didn't get the job, I knew that I had come a long way. I had overcome my fear. I had done it. So now, when people ask me how I learned English, I tell them this. Take small steps. Believe in yourself. Practice every day. Even if it's just talking to yourself in the mirror. Don't worry if it sounds funny or if you make mistakes. Enjoy the process, and you'll get there. After that job interview, I felt more motivated than ever to keep improving. English was becoming like a friend to me. Something that I felt comfortable with. Something that made me excited about each new day. But I knew I had a lot more to learn, and I wanted to grow even further. One day I met a friend who spoke English really well. He had a way of speaking that sounded so smooth and clear. I asked him, "How did you learn to speak like that?" He smiled and said, "Pronunciation is key. If people understand you clearly, you'll feel confident. Try focusing on how each word sounds." So I began my next adventure, practicing pronunciation. At first, it was challenging. Some words felt strange to say, but I found a fun way to practice. I'd listen to English words online one by one, and then repeat them slowly, trying to copy the exact sound. Sometimes I'd record myself and listen to see if I was saying it right. If it didn't sound good, I'd try again. It felt like I was a singer learning the notes of a song. One trick that helped a lot was breaking down difficult words into small parts. For example, the word comfortable. I'd say it slowly, comfortably, and then a little faster until it sounded natural. And guess what? With each new word, I felt more at ease. I wasn't just memorizing. I was truly learning how to speak. My friend also suggested reading out loud. I started reading simple books, and I'd speak every word as if I was telling a story to a friend. This wasn't just practice. It was fun. Each sentence felt like a small step toward fluency. I could feel my voice getting stronger, more sure of itself. But I didn't stop there. I realized that I needed to expand my vocabulary too. Knowing more words would help me express myself better, so I made a small notebook and called it my English dictionary. Every day, I'd learn one new word, write it down, and use it in a sentence. For example, one day I learned the word inspire. I loved that word. I'd say, "My journey inspires me," or "I want to inspire others." This made each word feel alive. Another thing that helped me learn new words was watching English shows and movies. I started with children's shows because they used simple language. I'd listen carefully, paying attention to each word, each expression. Sometimes I'd pause the video, repeat a line, and then play it again to see if I got it right. This was like a game, and it made learning feel like an adventure. I'd try to copy the accents and pronunciation of the actors. With time, my own accent began to sound clearer, more like natural English, and then came the big step, talking to native speakers. At first, I felt nervous. I was worried I'd make mistakes or not understand them. But I told myself, Samir, you have come this far. Don't be afraid. I joined an online language exchange group where people spoke English with each other. I introduced myself and spoke slowly, choosing my words carefully. I was surprised to find that everyone was kind and patient. They didn't mind my mistakes. In fact, they encouraged me. With each conversation, I grew more confident. One of my biggest breakthroughs came when I started thinking in English. This was a game changer. Instead of translating from my native language, I try to form sentences directly in English. When I woke up in the morning, I'd say to myself, "Today will be a great day." Or when I'd eat lunch, I'd think, "This meal is delicious." Thinking in English helped me feel more natural, like the language was truly a part of me. Then I discovered the power of listening. Every night I'd listen to English podcasts or watch short English videos. Sometimes I didn't understand every word, but I'd focus on the tone, the rhythm. Slowly, I found myself understanding more and more. I realized that listening is one of the most important parts of learning any language. The more I listened, the more my ears got used to English sounds. One of the most inspiring things I did was create a vision board. I put up pictures of all the things I wanted to achieve with English. A job, new friends, travel. Every morning, I'd look at it and remind myself, English is my key to these dreams. It became my reason to practice every day. I also set small goals for myself. One goal was to speak for at least 5 minutes every day, even if I was alone. I'd walk around my room talking about anything that came to mind. This practice made me feel free, like I could express myself without any fear. It was like I was talking to a friend, and that friend was English. Over time, I realized something powerful. English was changing my life. I was becoming more confident, more open to new ideas. I could talk to people from different countries, understand new cultures, and express myself in ways I never could before. Learning English was more than just learning words. It was learning a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing the world. And if I can do this, I believe anyone can. Just remember, start small, be patient, and keep going. Don't worry about making mistakes. Each mistake is like a stepping stone, bringing you closer to your goal. Enjoy the journey, and remember that every word you learn is a step towards something amazing. As my journey continued, I felt a new kind of confidence blooming inside me. English was no longer a goal I was chasing. It was a part of who I had become. Every day I saw how far I'd come, and it reminded me that learning any new skill is about consistency, patience, and a willingness to try again and again. One evening, I decided to set myself a big challenge, to give a speech in English. It was an idea that scared me, but I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. So I started preparing. I picked a topic close to my heart, the power of learning a language. For days, I practiced in front of the mirror, working on my pronunciation, my expressions, and the way I delivered each sentence. I'd stand tall, imagining an audience before me, and speak my heart out. It was like rehearsing for a role in a movie, each word carefully chosen, each phrase filled with emotion. When the day finally arrived, I was nervous, but I reminded myself of everything I had learned. I told myself, "This is your journey. You've earned this moment." As I began to speak, I felt the words flowing effortlessly. I looked out into the audience, and I saw smiles, nods, people listening closely. By the end, they were clapping, and some even came up to thank me, saying how inspired they felt. It was the most empowering moment of my life. I had turned my fear into strength. After that speech, something inside me changed. I realized that I hadn't just learned a language. I had unlocked a new version of myself. I no longer saw English as something difficult or foreign. It was simply a way to communicate my thoughts, my dreams, my ideas. Learning English had taught me to be brave, to take risks, and to believe that I could do anything I set my mind to. Over the next few months, doors started to open. I got a promotion at work, made friends from other countries, and was even invited to speak at other events. The best part? I had built a community of people who supported each other, who shared tips, stories, and encouraged one another to keep growing. We were all on this journey together, pushing each other to be better, one step at a time. Looking back, I now see that learning English changed not just my language skills, but my whole life. It taught me resilience, confidence, and the power of connection. I learned that every word, every sentence was a small victory. And now when people ask me for advice on learning English, I tell them this. 1. Start small, but start. Every journey begins with a single word. Don't be afraid to say it out loud to make mistakes. Speak with joy, with curiosity, and with the belief that every attempt is progress. 2. Immerse yourself in English. Listen, read, watch, and speak as much as you can. Let English surround you, and let it become part of your everyday life. The more you hear and use it, the more natural it will feel. 3. Believe in your potential. Don't let fear hold you back. Remember, every fluent speaker was once a beginner. With time, patience, and practice, you'll find yourself growing more confident, more capable. 4. Enjoy the process. This journey is about more than just learning a language. It's about discovering your strengths, building your confidence, and opening up new possibilities. Have fun, laugh at your mistakes, and celebrate every success. 5. Keep moving forward. Learning doesn't have an end. It's a path you walk every day. Be proud of each step, and remember that every effort you make is bringing you closer to fluency. As I stand here today sharing my story with you, I hope you feel inspired. I hope you know that this journey is not just possible. It's a gift waiting to be unwrapped. With every word you speak, every sentence you build, you're stepping into a brighter, more confident version of yourself. So go ahead, start speaking, start listening, start dreaming in English. Let this journey change you as it changed me. Remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be brave. And one day, you'll look back and realize that learning English wasn't just about words. It was about discovering who you are,